as they happened. In an emergency, every heartbeat is a reminder that nothing in life should be taken for granted. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of lives forever changed by tragedy on Rescue 911. We begin on July 30th, 1989, in the Soratown Mountains, near Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
All right, look at him go.
It's a beautiful sport. I myself didn't want to be up there, but it was amazing just to see what good times they were having.
I'll be up to join you, Jim.
Gilbert Aldrich was an experienced hang glider pilot. During the 6 months he had been dating Nancy Lumley, she had often accompanied him when he went flying.
Whatever he gets into his sport, I was happy just to be with him. You know how girls do when they date guys, they want to please them.
It's gonna be good.
The only other pilots on the mountain that day were Jim Bruton and Doug Rice.
Jim was already soaring overhead, so the conditions looked good, and I was in a hurry to join them.
Here you go, baby, there's your backpack.
Pull that down backwards.
He had showed me how to set a glider up, how all the tubes, where they went. And since I had set him up, you know, I did the check.
This one needs a little bit straighter. I don't mind helping you, but you got to cooperate.
Yeah, I'll just keep my eye on Jim.
Okay.
So he holds that glider up, and then he would go over to the launch pad.
Okay.
Okay, babe, watch that tree over there.
All right.
Okay, let's, come on, I'll help you on the ramp with it.
All right, let's set her down right here so I can look things over.
Okay.
Okay.
Honey, you forgot your helmet.
Oh. Can't reach it.
About that time, a good breeze comes.
Got it.
They always say that you might wait another hour, possibly, before you get that other good breeze.
I'm getting up there.
So you go for it. The nose just pointed down. He didn't have any control. Down he went, going towards the trees, just like somebody had shot him from an arrow.
It was after I'd gotten my glider off my truck when I heard Nancy scream.
What happened?
She was telling me that Gil had gone down really quick.
Good. Coming off, we're going off the ramp. See, he's over there in the trees.
I tried to keep Nancy calm while looking for some sign of movement. Since the normal flying speed of the glider is only about 25 miles an hour, I've never seen anybody get hurt by landing in a tree.
Jim, you see Gil's flight? He's down in the trees.
Okay.
Go down and land. I'll meet you at the bottom.
Okay, I'll go down and get him.
Just about a moment later, I saw somebody not far from the glider making his way down an access road.
Wasn't Gil wearing a white shirt?
He sure was.
I thought maybe the trees had, helped his fall. Doug said, you go down to the road. By the time you get to the road, Gilbert's going to be standing there waiting on you.
Jim, Doug, and Nancy all headed down to look for Gilbert.
I drove, and I drove, and I drove, and no Gilbert. And by this time, the tears, they were streaming, and I couldn't hardly see to drive, and I thought, this can't happen to us. I mean, I love this guy.
I met up with Jim at the bottom of the mountain. We weren't going to be able to go any further, so we had to hike up from there. We were still puzzled because we hadn't seen him. So as we made our way up, we began to get more and more concerned. The glider would obviously be the easiest thing to see. The main concern was maybe he wasn't able to get out of the glider. When I first saw the glider, Gil was not in it. And then as I moved in just a little bit closer to where the glider was, that's when I had the shock of my life.
What happened?
He said I wasn't hooked in.
Gil's over here, Jim.
At that point, the whole frightening scenario of what had happened kicked in.
Don't worry, Gil. We're going to get you out here, buddy.
Oh, bud.
He's been laying here for about 45 minutes, hasn't moved. And I realized that to have come down, straight down, as he obviously did, that he must have been going about 60 miles an hour.
Oh, God, it's bad.
He'd lost quite a bit of blood. Was struggling to speak as if the wind had been knocked out of him. And we assumed that he had internal injuries.
You'll be all right. I'm going to get you some help. Make sure you can get back to the spot.
Doug ran to the nearest house to call for help. A rescue squad from the Sorrowtown Volunteer Fire Department and a Stokes County ambulance were immediately dispatched to the scene.
Hurry, you bag. I think he's hurt bad.
When I heard the sirens, I knew then I'm not going to find him if they're, just jumping up and coming running in my arms. He's hurt.
Among those who responded was paramedic Greg Collins.
It's very steep, very rocky, and very rough. We knew it would take at least 30 to 40 minutes to get back down off the mountain.
They were considering whether or not they needed a helicopter, and I asked them to absolutely get a helicopter. I have lost a couple of friends, but Gil's accident was one of the worst I've had to see since I've been in the sport of hang gliding.
Nancy.
I didn't know where Gilbert was alive or dead until he said his first words.
You know where you at? Did you hear me?
Yeah.
They were asking him what day it was. And it was Sunday, and he said it's Tuesday.
The second BP is 80/40.
They told us that he had an open fracture of his arm, decreased lung sounds to one side, which was indication that he probably had a collapsed lung.
Ambulance up here.
His blood pressure was dropping dramatically over 5-minute intervals. He looked shocky, he was cold. In a day with a temperature around 85 to 90, he should not have been cold. This man was in serious trouble.
You're going to get to ride in a helicopter. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
That's right. Good.
I couldn't even see in front of me. I was crying so hard. I mean, he was just as white could be. It was like all the blood was drained out of him. I thought Gilbert was gone.
When the air care helicopter got Gilbert to Baptist Hospital, he was barely clinging to life.
2 liters of fluid in flight.
A trauma team awaited his arrival, led by Dr. Wayne Meredith.
He lost about half his blood, internally and externally. And so he was reaching the end of the fuse on his time bomb.
You need to get this tube in your chest. You popped your lung over here, okay?
You wait all your life for that special someone.
Blood pressure, but we need to take him in the operating room because it looks like his kidney's been hurt pretty bad.
I was going to stick with him. I was going to be right there with him and pull him through this. I knew I wasn't a doctor, but I'd always heard that if a person has love and a person has will to live, you're not going to lose him.
I'm going to be out in the waiting room, okay? I love you, darling.
Okay, somebody call the OR. Tell them we're on the way.
Family think the tennis court belongs to the park.
3 months after the accident, I could just barely walk a half a mile. But Nancy was willing to give everything that she had for me.
Gilbert Aldrich underwent more than a year of rehabilitation, including 8 weeks in the hospital with a bruised brain, collapsed lung, punctured kidney, and broken elbow.
Then I'd have probably panicked, and I guess I would have fell and been a greasy spot. He's terrific. Has a little ups and downs with the elbow, probably always will, but besides that, he is back to normal, and we don't even talk about hang gliding.
If he'd been in shock another hour, he would have probably died of infections. The first responders and the pre-hospital group in this case did great. I think they did terrific. And they wasted no time. Time is critical in this situation.
He's very lucky. Not many people fall from the sky and survive.
I didn't realize it at the time, but I was addicted to hang gliding. It is so much more awesome than anything else that I had ever done. Everything else fades to that. But the longer I was away from it, and the more I got involved in fun things with Nancy, I realized that I was enjoying life a lot more.
Yeah.
Do both of you, before these witnesses, promise to do everything in your power to make this a happy and lasting marriage? We do.
21 months after the accident, Nancy Lumley and Gilbert Aldrich were married.
You ready to run?
Yeah.
That was a long, hard road back to recovery for me, and I had never felt that kind of love and care. I just don't ever want to be without a woman who can love me as much as she loved me then.
Next.
I never thought it would happen that that kind of violence would touch Portia's life in any kind of personal way.
As times changed, so did the Ford full-size pickup. But it was always one tough truck, and boy, could it haul a load. Today, it's still tough, but it's designed to ride better. It has more style, more comfort, and boy, can it haul a load. Times change, trucks change, but Ford Tough never does. The best ever ran.
New Mississippi Mud Pie. Taste why America's best-selling individual frozen desserts are Weight Watchers. Total indulgence, zero guilt.
Critics call Summersby a ravishing romance. Richard Gere's most passionate performance since An Officer and a Gentleman. Jodie Foster is extraordinary.
Who is this man sitting in my kitchen?
Summersby, rated PG-13, now playing at a theater near you.
Having a real estate license doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to sell real estate. You have to understand people.
I do a lot of interaction with my clients, and I listen to what they have to say.
The biggest pleasure for me to be able to get them into that house, and they thought I was the greatest thing in the world because I could do that.
There isn't anything any school could teach you to make you care about people. That's got to come from the heart.
Century 21, rated best at customer service.
Life is people, and the more you give, the more you get.
The Ragu chef introduces new Ragu Super Mushroom Pasta Sauce.
There is no such thing as too many mushrooms. I love mushrooms. Big mushrooms, little mushrooms. Mushrooms intensify the flavor of the sauce.
He makes Ragu Chunky Garden-style Super Mushroom with as many mushrooms as these 3 mushroom sauces combined.
I love to look at them, smell them, hold them, count them, put them in my sauce.
New Ragu Super Mushroom.
Extraordinary sauce.
On August 19th, 1991, Pat Douglas was dropping her daughter Portia off at her apartment after a dinner out together in their hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana. Neither of them had any sense of the terrifying events that were about to happen.
I thought I would stop by Portia's apartment to pick up a hat. that I wanted to borrow. As I was sitting there, I noticed a young man looking out the window and kind of pacing back and forth. And at the time, I thought that was rather unusual behavior. I sort of had a mother instinct that something wasn't right about that. But then when Portia came down the steps, I totally forgot about him.
Mom, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I never thought it would happen that that kind of violence would touch my life in any kind of personal way.
Hi. Portia had been on vacation, and this individual had just moved into the apartments. And he came out of his apartment and asked her to borrow some salt.
Okay, I guess so. Just a minute.
Emergency, are you reporting? I've just been shot twice. Shot? Who shot you?
A rapist.
Okay, where are you at now? Okay, let's get you an ambulance on the way. Okay. Stay on the line. Do you know who it was?
No. It was the guy who...
Fire dispatcher.
Okay, Lawrence, we need an ambulance at 7607. Purpose. She was shot by a rapist.
Twice, once in the head.
You been shot in the head? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm in the head and in the chest.
Okay, you're in a part...
Marion County Sheriff's Dispatcher Victoria Samuels had only been taking calls for a month.
And God forbid if I die. Tell my mother and my father I love them.
Okay, do you have a description?
I really almost lost it when she started telling me to call her parents in case she died and started giving me a message to tell them, and I thought, God, I don't want to have to make that call.
Okay, do you have a description of this guy? Is he a white male or a black male? About how old is he?
20s.
20s? Do you know his name?
No, he didn't tell me. He's downstairs.
Do you know his apartment number?
No. Is the ambulance coming?
Yeah, they're on their way.
Sheriff's deputies and rescue units were immediately dispatched, including Lawrence Township Fire paramedic Jeff Musar.
We had it as a person shot and the suspect was still in the area or on the scene and do not approach. Our fire station's right across the street from the apartment complex where the incident occurred, so we were there within 60 seconds. All we do basically is come in very quietly to the apartment complex and just sit off into a corner until the sheriff's department gets there. Standing by for Marion County.
So is he back downstairs still?
Yes. I stopped breathing. He thought he killed me. But you know what? I've got a window. He could shoot me through the back window. You gotta hurry.
Okay, it's all right. You locked the door. You're doing all right. We've got everybody on the way.
Sheriff's Deputy Kelly Hayes was on routine patrol 3 miles away when the report came over his radio.
The minute you hear, someone has been shot, you automatically know that the suspect's not afraid to use a weapon, and we were advised that he was still in the same area, so your adrenaline's pumping.
He shot me in the chest first, then he raped me.
Have you got the bleeding stopped?
No. No, it's still bleeding.
Do you have anything to stick on it, like a cloth or your shirt or anything?
My nature was to worry about the medical side, but I had to remember that I'm in the police dispatch, and at this point in time, our protocol isn't to give medical information over the phone.
What kind of a gun was it? Handgun? Okay. Was it a pretty big gun?
And she was breathing real hard, so I was really concerned she would die before they got there.
Okay.
You gotta hurry. He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. I know he's gonna do that. He told me he wanted me to go out with him and get in his car, and I said no, and I fought him.
Okay.
Assistant Supervisor Edward Bessing was monitoring the call.
We wanted to get an ambulance to her as soon as possible. We couldn't risk the firefighters' lives because we had no idea what was going on, if he was on a rampage or what he was doing.
Came up to borrow salt. We're right around the corner. Oh, yeah?
Not very far away.
Oh, thank God.
Do you know if he drives a car, ma'am?
He said he wanted me to go out and get his car with him.
Do you know what kind of car it is?
I was relaying the information that I was receiving to the dispatcher, who was in turn telling the officers in the field.
A newer one? Okay.
Oh, my lips are numb.
Also, you have a gunshot wound to the left side of the chest. Patient's experiencing difficulty breathing. 2-minute ETA.
If there's any changes, we'll be standing by for the sheriff. The apprehension and the anxiety of just sitting there waiting is the most frustrating part of it. You want to go in, but you know at the same time, if you go in there, you're going to be part of the problem and probably be shot too.
While officers were en route to the scene, a second call came into the sheriff's department.
Dispatch, do you have an emergency?
Yeah, I heard some gunfire going on not too long ago, and I walked in my apartment, you know, and I found my gun wasn't here, so I don't know what's going on.
What's your address?
It's 7607 Ford Drive.
Okay, hold on just a second, okay?
He just seemed kind of weird. Then after I realized it was the same address that the lady was calling from, just a different apartment, I put two and two together.
And reported a break-in where the firearm has been stolen.
We knew the suspect was now in his apartment. He basically thought the victim was dead. Otherwise, he wouldn't have called in. He would have been up there to finish the job.
Within minutes of the call, officers arrived on the scene.
My main concern was that we've got to approach the situation and get to her without letting him know that we're on to him.
My right arm is paralyzed.
Okay, man, we're almost there.
You gotta hurry, please.
Okay, we're hurrying.
I'm gonna end up dying here while you're talking to me.
That's one of us knocking on the door.
Oh, you said Sheriff's Department?
34, is that you said Sheriff's Department?
Yes. Should I go?
Can you make it? Can you get there to unlock?
I'll get it, I'll get it.
Okay. To the door.
The Sheriff's Department, come out here in the hallway and talk to me.
What for?
Your adrenaline starts pumping. You start thinking, man, you know, is he going to come out of his apartment with the gun, or is he going to go ahead with the story that, you know, somebody stole my gun?
Let me see your hands as you come out the door. Okay, put your hands straight up.
I don't understand. This is stupid. I don't know why.
What I'm going to do is check you for other weapons, all right? Turn around, face the wall.
At that time, the victim that was upstairs with Officer Hayes shouted out something like, you know, get me the paramedics. I already told you it was the guy downstairs, and all of a sudden his eyes got real big and he started to turn around and look at me, and I went ahead and handcuffed him.
No.
In 12 years that I've worked in this field, that was probably the longest I've ever had to wait. Just the look in her eyes, I think, told it all at that point that we knew that we had to move fast.
Okay. Steve, we got a gunshot wound, left chest, upper chest, and one to the right arm.
Her blood pressure was dropping tremendously, and we could not see a lot of blood loss on the outside, so we knew we had a lot of blood loss on the inside.
Any pain? Can you breathe in?
We had about a 20 to 25 minute ride to the hospital, so we knew we had no time to lose.
1, 2, 3.
With the amount of blood loss that she had and her vital signs not showing us any encouragement even after a lot of fluids, I had my doubts that she was going to be even stable enough to handle any kind of a surgery.
Portia was rushed to the hospital as Detective Sergeant John Tilton, head of the investigation, arrived on the scene.
Did you go up there tonight?
Yeah, I did.
And why did you go up there? The suspect admitted to attempt murder, rape, confinement, and battery.
Upstairs tonight to rape her.
He was convicted of rape and attempt murder in the courts and took 40 years sentence for each charge, which means he'll be eligible for parole at the end of 40 years, making him a 62-year-old man.
Portia was hospitalized for 10 days, recovering from gunshot wounds to her chest and arm and severe cuts on her head.
She fought him the entire way, and when she saw the second shot coming, she put her hands over her face and then played dead until he left, which in fact saved her life.
Less than a month later, Portia returned to work as an attorney. But the painful memories of that night still linger.
I was terrified, and nothing was as soothing as hearing that operator's voice on the telephone. It was my line to reality, to the world. I do everything 100% now. I play hard, I work hard. I just do everything as if today is my last day.
This phone, please.
You hear so many victims dwell on how terrible things are in life. And yes, what happened to me was terrible, but I now know that I'm a survivor. I've gone on. Right. I'm gonna work.
I think she has a lot more confidence in who she is, and I'm proud that she showed what she had in her.
For about 2 months after the rape, I was terrified to be in a house in the evening by myself. But I think more than anything, telling the story is very purging. It gets all of it out. I feel sorry for rape victims who can't tell people what has happened to them. If you hold it in, it just eats away at you. But if you can tell it and get it out, you can then go on with your life.
Next.
Teresa was kind of diddy-bopping ahead of us. As she rounded the trees, I heard a rattle.
Quote, a mid-sized Dodge Dakota with an optional 230 horsepower Magnum V8 outpowers, outhauls, and just plain outpulls even full-size 5-liter V8s from Ford and Chevy. Unquote. Dodge, the most powerful line of trucks anywhere. Now, get up to $750 cash back on new Dodge Dakotas.
One of the biggest successes in weight loss history just happened in the little town of Pound, Wisconsin.
I lost 15 pounds, and people say, wow. I lost 20 pounds, and I feel great.
In just 12 weeks, they lost over 2,500 pounds on the Ultra Slim Fast plan. A delicious shake for breakfast, another for lunch, and a sensible dinner.
I got more get up and go.
But I didn't even feel like I was on a diet.
Slim Fast is the only diet that ever worked for me.
Now, for a limited time, buy one and get one free. Ultra Slim Fast. Give us a week. We'll take off the weight.
For any kind of sinus pain, pressure, or congestion, even that caused by allergy, one name does it all. Sinutab from Park Davis. It's the #1 brand recommended by pharmacists. Sinutab, relief for prisoners of sinus suffering.
Release me and let me live again.
That's not what you told me to use last time.
Last year, doctors recommended gynolotrimine more than ever before.
Well, what about the product you used to give me?
Last year, gynolotrimine became the choice of more and more doctors. It cures yeast infections fast.
How fast is it?
Gynolotrimine starts working on contact. Nothing you can buy works faster.
It must be good if you're recommending it.
Find out for yourself why gynolotrimine has become the choice of more and more doctors for a fast cure.
Think you have to live with those miserable headaches the rest of your life? Well, the relief you need is here. Watch our Stop the Pain series tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
Barney, Gomer, Goober, Aunt Bee, Opie, and Andy.
We got to nip it! Nip it in the bud!
Now, 30 years later, they're reunited.
Andy!
Viewing Ron Howard's home movies and sharing great memories. The Andy Griffith Show reunion, Wednesday on CBS.
Thinking of getting high? You better know what you're jumping into.
Sometimes those we least expect to step forward in a crisis are the ones who emerge as heroes. That was never more true than on the afternoon of September 7th, 1992, as Laura Martinez gathered with family and friends for a Labor Day barbecue in a remote area near Loveland, Colorado.
Really?
We have some property west of town, and we had planned a hot dog roast.
Hi, lady.
We had started putting out the food, the fire was going. It was just real festive. Everybody was having a great time. Everybody was real relaxed and just having a lot of fun.
Laura's mother, Oma Thompson, was helping with the cooking.
Lady is a lovable, gentle dog, but she's very, very lazy. She likes to be in the house. She doesn't like to go outside unless she absolutely has to, or unless we just push her out. Because she is overweight, we always make her walk with us. Well, as soon as we got down to the fire pit, she was out. She'd already done her exercise for the day, and she would be sleeping until it was time to leave.
Yeah, stand this side so you don't get stuck.
Oma's other daughter, Sandra, was also at the picnic.
Audrey decided she needed to use the bathroom. Well, when she said she had to go, then everybody had to go.
Come on, guys, I'll take you.
Bob took David, and he went across the creek to where the boys go to the bathroom. Then Oma took Rachel and Audrey by the hand and led them up to where we go. There we go.
We started off to the latrine area, and Teresa was kind of diddy-bopping ahead of us. As she rounded the trees, I heard a rattle, and I stopped.
Sandra, hurry! There's a snake up here! Please, Sandra, help me!
I am terrified of snakes. I don't even like to look at them. But I knew in my mind that something had to happen, and it had to happen quickly. Teresa was in danger.
Sandra, hurry! Come up here!
The lady took off. She knew that she had to help.
When I saw Lady, she gave me the break that I needed. She attracted the snake's attention. At that point, I could instruct Teresa which way to go.
She saved Teresa's life. She risked her own life to save Teresa's. And I was just screaming for her to come back, and she wouldn't. She stayed, though, and fought the snakes until she felt that everyone was out of danger. Finally, she looked at me and kind of looked around, and then she came to me. She just kind of laid down and just kind of plopped. It wasn't a normal come and lay by my side reaction.
Did you find it?
I only thought we were dealing with one. And Oba had come up with the shovel, and he had gone up into the area where the snakes were. And I said to him, "Can you see them?" And he said, "Yes." My God, there's 5 of them up here.
Check right up there by her face.
Oma and her son-in-law, Bob Martinez, found multiple snake bites on Lady.
Here's another one right here.
I was sitting there thinking, why Lady? You know, of all dogs, why Lady? But she done the ultimate sacrifice herself for my little girl, Teresa.
The kids were crying and wondering what was going on. Would they see Lady again? It was really hard.
A friend of mine's dog was killed by a rattlesnake, so it was probably good I was driving, because at least I had something to keep my mind off Lady.
By the time Laura got Lady to Colorado State University's veterinary teaching hospital, more than an hour had passed since she was bitten.
Here we go.
She was admitted under the care of veterinarian Lisa Mettelman.
Snake bite can be very dangerous, and depending on the type of snake, some snakes even more dangerous than others. The rattlesnakes that we have around here can be very dangerous.
This is Lady, and she's been bitten by a couple rattlesnakes.
The owners had told me what she had done for the children, and that was one of the first things I told everybody as we started working on her, is what she had done for the family and for the children, and everybody was quite impressed. And I don't know necessarily that she got special treatment, but I think everybody wished the best for her.
We have a seat here. Let me tell you a little bit about how Lady's doing.
When I talked to the family about Lady's condition, I was very upfront with them. I think it's very important to tell people what they can expect, and we did discuss the possibility that Lady might not make it.
Now, there are different ways to treat this, and one way is with anti-venom. It's like an antidote.
They gave me the option of whether I wanted to use the anti-venom, and the reason they do that is it's very expensive. And I just said, so my options are either euthanasia or go with the money, and I said, do what you have to do. She saved my little girl's life. She took the snake bite for her. I just started crying then because she was a hero, but they didn't know if she's going to live or die. Hi, guys. How are you? I was really sad and emotional, knowing I'd have to come home and tell the kids. So we went home, and the kids were crying, and I was crying. And they asked me if Lady was alive, and I said she was, but I go, Lady might die. They're really good doctors, and they gave Lady some special medicine. And hopefully she'll make it.
And she'll be okay. I hugged Teresa, and she started crying, and I started crying with her, and I said, honey, if Lady dies, you can remember she protected you from dying.
The next morning, about 9:30, I couldn't wait anymore. I called the hospital. I told them who I was. And they said, oh, she's doing great. She's responding really well. That she was really sore, very bruised, but she would recuperate a lot better at home with everybody that she loved around her. So I was so excited. Bob and I were just ecstatic. I just started crying all over again. I was so happy.
Good girl. Heel? Good girl. We came to pick up Lady. Good. And she was just so happy to see us. It was like, oh, I thought you guys left me.
Recently, Lady took part in a very special ceremony.
Hi, Lady. We are here today to ask...
During the blessing of the animals for the Feast of St. Francis of Assisi, the minister, he invited Lady and all the family up to the altar, and she just sat there as proud as punch. Didn't make any move whatsoever. She just kind of sat there and said, here I am.
Now, won't you please join me as we ask God...
I've learned that it's not a cliche that dogs are man's best friend. Lady is certainly ours.
Lady's like a hero because she saved my life. And I think Lady's the best dog in the whole wide world.
I really don't know what would have happened if Lady hadn't come in. She needed to be there to take care of us. And today she's just a lady again. She's great. She's still lazy. And she still just sleeps most of the time, but that's the story.
Next.
Andrea kind of looks at me and said, do you think that we can scale the wall? And I thought that'd be cool, you know.
This is the plan for the B-2 bomber. This is the structure of DNA. This is a long-distance calling plan. What do they all have in common? You can't understand any one of them. Fortunately, Sprint can decipher long distance for you. With priority service, they'll review your account and let you know if you're on the right plan. It's that easy. And this is how you call Sprint.
When we at Nissan saw Lexus do a test like this to show how well their car is put together, we were very impressed.
Hey, they're doing that ball bearing thing.
So we decided to try it on the new $13,000 Nissan Altima. You can imagine how pleased we were when our car's tolerances tested as accurately as theirs.
Not bad.
The new Nissan Altima. It's time to expect more from a car.
Rescue 911 will continue.
Friday, uncover the naked truth of Julia's past on an all-new Designing Women. Then, 40 years ago, he blacklisted Bob. Now, Bob's striking back.
Can I help you?
You want us to hold him down for you, Bob?
And it's a Valentine's surprise
Cupid shot Jimmy?
that could only happen behind picket fences. All new Friday.
When a medicine show comes to town with a miracle cure, can Dr. Quinn expose a deadly fraud?
It doesn't help people, it hurts them.
Robert Culp guest stars Dr. Quinn Saturday.
This is CBS.
Acadiana is crisscrossed by bayous and rivers. Waterways affect our lives in many different ways. The recent flooding in Lafayette raises new questions about river stages, especially after a heavy rain. Hello, Acadiana. I'm Dick Farrow. Every day, Rob Perillo and I give you the current river stages. All this week, you'll see 2 reports a day explaining what makes water levels rise and fall and how these levels are monitored. Join us for a look at river stages tonight on TV 10 Eyewitness News.
Saturday night, February 20th, live at the Cajun Dome, George Jones.
I don't need your rocking chair.
The legendary George Jones, live in concert with special guests John Anderson and Tracy Lawrence. Don't wait. Get your tickets now at the Cajun Dome box office and all Ticketmaster locations, or charge by phone. Pick up your Red Man $3 discount coupon at participating Adrian supermarkets. George Jones with John Anderson and Tracy Lawrence. A Pinnacle production, part of the Red Man Country Concert Series.
New numbers every Saturday night at 9:59 on TV 10, your official lotto station.
On April 10th, 1992, 16-year-old Andrea Jones and her best friend Rachel Coates were enjoying their last night of spring vacation in the resort town of Gulf Shores, Alabama. Andrea's parents had set a midnight curfew, so around 11:45, the 2 girls returned to their family's rented condo.
That night, we met some teenage guys, and they were really nice, and they ended up inviting us to their condo later on. So we knew that we wanted to sneak out.
No, I don't. Sorry. I can change.
I heard the girls come in. I went to their room, and they were both undressing. At least I thought they were.
Getting ready to go to bed now?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm tired.
Okay.
Well,
We just pretended we were getting ready for bed and stuff.
We've got to use them.
Okay, but how are we going to get out? I mean, we can't go out the front door because Mom will hear us.
You don't think she'll hear us, do you?
Yeah, she could hear a pin drop.
Great. We have to meet them.
Oh, I know. Hey, I know. Andrea kind of looks at me and said, do you think that we can scale the wall? And instantly I thought that, that'd be cool, because Andrea and I never did anything really exciting or, rebellious. Not as hard as it looks. I wanted to go before Andrea because I was taller, and I thought I can probably touch the balcony first and make sure that everything's safe. Okay, come on, I'll help you. Chicken.
Kristen Kuhn and her girlfriends were also renting a vacation condo.
We saw some feet coming down the balcony, and we're surprised. I mean, you're not expecting to see somebody climbing down your balcony at midnight. Okay, Andrea. You're doing it.
So much. I can't hold on to you when you're wiggling. Andrea, stop kicking. Grab me. I can't hold on to you. Grab me.
when she hit. It was like she had no bones in her body. I wanted to jump right down after her. I never felt so alone in my whole life.
I went to the balcony edge and saw her lying there in a kind of twisted sort of way. I was just scared. I was thinking, I can't be seeing somebody die right before my eyes.
A call for help sent rescue units to the scene, including paramedic Charles Ingram.
When I'd heard this person had fallen from 4 floors, we immediately requested a helicopter before we even left the station here. I didn't expect this person to be alive. I expected him to be a DOA when we got there.
When we continue.
Words can't describe what it's like to see your child suffering. And all I kept thinking was please, God, take care of her and keep her alive.
There's only one refrigerator guaranteed to keep running and running for your money back. The Maytag refrigerator, the only refrigerator with a 10-year money-back guarantee. The only refrigerator built like a Maytag. Catch it at a Maytag dealer near you. Maytag, the dependability people.
WD brand beef is raised in the West, but it's fluent in a lot of languages. WD brand beef from Winn-Dixie, the beef people.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime. For relief without alcohol, hit the box, not the bottle.
This is crazy. This is crazy. 2 pizzas, 2 free Crazy Breads, 2 free soft drinks, all for $7.98 at Little Caesars.
Pizza.
Young, rich.
Let me see. And smart. Just look at the car.
Well, he didn't get where he is by throwing his money away.
At $78.48, the Toyota Tercel has a standard driver's side airbag, and it's the lowest priced 2-door sedan you can buy.
Here comes his broker.
Maybe it's his agent.
Excuse me. Is that your car?
Sure is.
Well, it's blocking my driveway.
I think he's complimenting him on his unpretentiousness. He's so cool.
It started as an innocent lunch with a coworker. Then he became obsessed.
What about dinner Saturday night?
I just really don't think it's a good idea.
No one would help her.
Oh, God, you're lovely.
This is a man on the edge.
I refuse to be his victim.
Until it was too late. Richard Thomas, Brooke Shields, based on the true story of the stalking of Laura Black. Next. 40 years ago, he tried to blacklist Bob. Friday, Bob strikes back.
Can I help you?
You want us to hold him down for you, Bob?
An all-new Bob, Friday.
When 16-year-old Andrea Jones fell from a 4th-floor condo balcony, witnesses rushed to her aid. But there was little anyone could do except encourage her to keep fighting to stay alive until help could arrive.
Excuse me, guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Her head was tilted to the side. There was blood coming from behind her ear, and her eyes were bulging out of her head.
Hang in there until they get here.
It was like a horror movie right in front of my eyes, and I just couldn't believe it was real.
Can you hear me?
I thought that she was dead, and it hurt a lot to think about her parents, and how was I going to explain this, you know? We did this for a bunch of guys.
Hold tight. Paramedics are going to be here soon.
Within 5 minutes of the call, the Gulf Shores Fire Department arrived, led by paramedic Corporal Mitchell Sims.
In my experience with patients who have fallen, the outcome is usually very poor.
You hear me at all?
Time is so critical with a trauma patient because with the brain swelling from the injury, there can be irreversible brain damage.
Okay, we got a pressure of 9 endless boys.
Andrea's parents, Kathy and Jerry Jones, rushed down to the scene as soon as they were told about the accident.
Words can't describe what it's like to see your child suffering and in pain the way she was suffering. And all I kept thinking was please, God, take care of her and keep her alive.
We're going to move this off over, okay? We're going to on this side over here, buddy. Andrea, be still. Andrea. Be still. Hold still.
There was a lot of confusion going on, and I remember thinking, where's Rachel? There was nothing I could do for Andrea, and I felt that someone that Rachel knew needed to be with her.
Oh, Rachel.
And tried to help her get through what obviously had been a horrendous thing for her to witness.
Deep in my heart, I did not believe this girl was going to make it. I looked at one of the guys on the ambulance and told him that her mother's heart was probably going to be broken tonight.
Andrea was taken by Life Flight helicopter to Baptist Hospital, where a trauma team awaited her arrival, led by emergency physician James Leaker.
Apparently, she landed right on her head. And that kind of impact is an incredible force, and my initial thoughts were, well, this is a young 16-year-old who won't go back home.
She's got some lacerations on the back. Donna, I want to intubate this lady.
Among those treating Andrea was emergency nurse Donna Russell.
She was doing what we call posturing, which is indicative of brain damage.
Protect your airway. We got to go.
Very rarely do people with this kind of an injury survive. And in our hearts, we felt she was going to die.
Complete x-rays and a CAT scan were taken.
I was amazed. It looked like the only injury that she had was her head. I was also very discouraged because her head injury did appear to be quite severe.
Over the next 12 hours, Andrea's condition deteriorated as her brain continued to swell. In an effort to relieve the pressure on her brain, doctors decided to perform an unusual emergency procedure and remove part of her skull.
There as well.
This was a last-ditch effort. The chances of survival in a person that has this degree of injury, very, very, very small.
It may sound silly, but I just kept thinking, fix her up and I'm going to take her home. It wasn't until one of the doctors said, I don't want to have to ask you this question, but I'm required by law. And he said, I may come back to you at a later point in time and ask you if you'd be willing to donate any of your daughter's organs. And it wasn't until then that I realized how serious Andrea was and that she could die.
If was an awfully big word at that time. If she survived, to what? And unfortunately, we use some harsh terminology in the medical profession, and we do. We call them vegetables. They lay there. You sprinkle them. You feed them. They grow. You hurt for the patient. You hurt for the family. She's going to have some tubes inside.
Okay. We followed the nurse into Andrea's room. And we saw her laying in bed, and she was laying perfectly still.
Andrea.
All I kept thinking about was, please wake up so that I can talk to you again.
Andrea remained in a coma for a week.
On Easter Sunday, one of her nurses came up to us and said, I think I have the best Easter gift I could ever give you. We walked into her room, and they had her sitting up in a chair. Shortly thereafter, she was walking down the halls, joking with the nurses, complaining about the food.
In the 6 months since the accident, Andrea's friend Rachel has struggled to come to grips with what happened that night.
Rachel feels so guilty right now, and that's why she stays away a little bit.
It's been hard for me, even now, to deal with everything. We're not as close as we used to be. I wish that we were. If I could take back that day, I'd give everything I own to have things back the way they were.
I didn't become queen, homecoming queen. This is I'm apple queen.
I really want to be her friend so much again, you know. And I think she needs me as a friend again to let her know that I am okay.
I've learned to think before I do things, because you're hurting people that really do love you. You're hurting them and you're hurting yourself, and you're missing life.
Super miracle that she's with us. I want to thank the people that gave their prayers and best wishes to us. I just want to thank them all.
I'm glad you're okay. Oh, God.
I would have bet $1 million that she would have been lying in a bed for the rest of her life, a vegetable. And now to see her today, cheerleading and talking and walking, it's just wonderful.
Here we go. How's she look?
I am a very lucky lady to have my daughter back with me. Every day I cherish that I can see her, that I can talk to her, and know that she is still part of our family.
Look good now. Smile for Dad now. Oh, I know, I'm a gort. Yeah, here it is.
When it comes to choosing a pain reliever, the makers of Tylenol believe the more information you have, the better. That's why it's important to know ibuprofen is different than Tylenol. Doctors know ibuprofen can sometimes irritate your stomach. In fact, most ulcer patients shouldn't use it. But they can take Tylenol. Hospitals use Tylenol 4 times more than ibuprofen. For effective relief that's gentler to your stomach, trust Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
When Ford refined the full-size car, we made its shape more aerodynamic, its V8 engine more powerful, and yet more efficient. We also added to its comfort and even its safety with available anti-lock brakes and dual airbags. But through it all, one thing about the Ford Crown Victoria has remained the same. It's still as quiet as a Rolls-Royce.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
In the first 4 years of Rescue 911, more than 100 lives were saved as a result of what viewers learned from watching this program. Recently, in a special episode, we paid tribute to all the heroes who, inspired by our show, took action and made a difference. If you or someone you know learned something from our show that helped save a life, please contact us at Rescue 911, CBS Television, Los Angeles, California, 90036. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next time for more true stories on Rescue 911.
Huey Darby here. For the best in oldies rock and roll with that South Louisiana flavor, it's Oldies KROF and Channel 10 News at 6. Oldies KROF. Watch it on the radio.
With Ron Howard, Jim Neighbors, and Don Knotts on the Andy Griffith